All right, welcome back to the Choose Abundance podcast. I'm your host, Alina Katz, and I am so excited for this very, very special episode because I have a guest on today, my first guest for this podcast. And it's someone who's really special to me. Her name is Roxanne Thelan. She's a mindset and empowerment coach. She focuses on helping people take control of their lives by reprogramming their subconscious mind for ultimate success. And she is a dear friend of mine. Welcome, Roxanne.
Thank you, Alina. I'm so happy to be here and I'm so excited for you and I'm proud of you for this amazing podcast and I'm blessed and grateful to be the first guest on it. So
You are? Oh my God, thank you so much. I'm so excited. And yes, you are the first guest. I'm really happy that you're here. You know, we haven't been friends for that long. We actually met, what was it, like not even 6 months ago.
yeah.
However, I feel like we have a really deep connection and we are part of a really important community. And like having you as a friend for sure has changed my life in so many ways. So,
Likewise.
yes. Okay. So I wanted to let people know how we met, like how we connected in the first place, and that was through our neuro-linguistic programming practitioner training. So I'd love for you just to share a little bit about how you even got there and how we connected that way.
Yeah, so we got certified by Michaela McNatt, and she's amazing and great. And I did one of her courses a year prior, doing a lot of, learning the neuro-linguistic programming and subconscious techniques. However, it wasn't a certification. So when she offered that certification training, I was on the edge. I had just moved out of state. Finances were tough, and I was just like, no, like I can't, I keep spending all this money, but I really felt called to do the practitioner training. And I actually didn't do the first round, and luckily she did another event not that long after, and I decided to just go for it. And of course, I missed the period where I was able to save a bunch of money, but I was like, you know what, I got to do this anyway. So um, yeah, we just connected out there, and just meeting you and Becca and Kiara and Sabrina, it's just like it was so right and natural. It felt like we were best friends. Like, and it was just, there was no resistance. There was no, we just flowed so great together. And I love that we've just kept communication and kept contact. And, we chat every week and we hold space for each other. And, we just support each other, and honestly it's been the best group of friends I've had in a while. So
Oh, I feel exactly the same. Yeah, just so you guys know, like we had a 7-day in-person training where we met for I don't even know how many hours each day. It was like 8 hours or like all day sitting on a couch together, just like with our notepads, learning so much stuff so that we could be certified in multiple different modalities so that we can improve our businesses. And oh my God, like the connections that we made, not only were we learning how to do these modalities so that we can help our clients, but we were actually experiencing them. So we were supporting each other with a lot of our own healing. And Roxanne actually helped me through a really, I don't even know how to describe it, but really intense healing experience where I actually had a bit of a panic moment and it was very intense for me. And she held the most incredible space for me. Like, I'll never forget you for that.
oh, thank you. And it was, I was like a little nervous at first because we were
Mhm.
just being certified and we were just being trained, but it was such a great experience for me, and I'm glad I was still able to, support you in that way and hold that space for you and connect with you on that kind of level. I think the best part of all this work is the vulnerability that people go into, and, holding that space for them to be able to really release a lot of hard stuff that they've been carrying around for years. And that is why I kind of got into this work in the first place, because a part of me knew that there was a lot that I was carrying and I didn't know what to do with it, and I didn't know what my options were.
Mm.
I happened to find an ad on Instagram, and I just started there and just dove right into all types of healing work, and just saw so much transformation in my own life from, reflecting in on my own life and seeing where I need to grow and improve and heal and applying that kind of work to myself. it's just like really opened so many doors for just now growth and meeting new people and experiences, and it just continues to seem to get better and better. So
I love that. So take us back to that moment where you were like on Instagram and you clicked on this ad. Like, what was going on in your life that really was the catalyst to make you want to make a big change in your life?
yeah, it's crazy. I'm pretty vulnerable on my platforms about my story because um, I've had a pretty tough upbringing. I had a lot of alcoholism and drug abuse, and my grandparents raised me, and like we were poor, we like house falling apart, like we had it tough. And in 2020, I lost both of my grandparents back to back, and they were like my parent figures. They like basically raised me. And so I was just not handling it well. And I was right around the time I was getting married. So I was planning a wedding at the same time. And
Oh,
it
wow.
was just a lot of different stresses and a lot of hurt and just emotion for losing them and just no clarity on like what I wanted to do in my life. Like I was working in the corporate world and I hated that. It was draining. It wasn't a passion. It just wasn't alignment. And so mentally, I was just in a really bad place. Um, and I could just go on and on about the person I was before this work and, you know, mistakes I've made and the person I was. And I knew that I didn't want to be that type of person anymore. Like I knew I wanted to create a better future for myself and a better life for myself and my future family. And I was not following any, you know, spiritual personal development coaches. I didn't even know anything about this world. I didn't know nothing about NLP or healing or, you know, like none of that was even in the my view of the world and my in the realm of what I was seeing. And I mean for this coach to just pop up, Michaela just pop up, I just messaged her and I had a discovery call with her and she just guided, like I was nervous because I'm like, do I invest in this? Like it's a lot of money and I don't even know nothing about this work. Like I don't know, but my inner knowing knew I needed to do something and knew I needed to take a chance and a risk and just do it, like invest in myself for the results that I knew I wanted, not knowing all the details, not knowing how it would play out, just knowing I had to do something and trust in myself that what I was going to do, it was going to help me. And on that call, she just basically held the space for me because she knew, you know, I was nervous and needed guidance. And she just helped me really envision the life that I wanted. And
Mm.
she took me to that place, and I still feel it in me when I talk about it because it was so empowering and potent and just amazing. And I was just like, you know what? Like, I need to do this. And I got off the call and I was in tears. And I did this 12-week course with her. And we started a lot of the healing modalities that we learned in our live training together. And I did a lot of releasing and, you know, learning about myself. And wow, this is all this subconscious work and my programming. Like, this is why I show up the way that I show up. And I actually want to be showing up this way. And I could actually rewire myself to a more resourceful state to create, you know, that life that I want that I was talking to her about on that call. So I really just honed in on the work, on prioritizing, you know, my growth and my healing. And as I started to do that, I just saw, you know, different results and I saw changes within myself. I saw myself responding differently, reacting differently, smiling more, finding joy more, gaining clarity on like what it is I actually wanted to do in my life.
Mhm.
So it just took me on this complete journey and then I, you know, doing that work was like I really want to hold this space for other people. And that's
Yeah.
when, you know, I found that practitioner training and I've just been diving into this work ever since and I'm still doing it. I'm still finding different modalities and techniques to add to my tool belt to continue to hold people in that kind of way because I know how powerful it is just by experiencing it myself.
Yeah, wow. What an incredible story. And it all shifted just from seeing an ad. And we
Yeah.
can say like, wow, the algorithm is really powerful, but also like it seemed like it was slightly spirit led. Like you were in such a dark place and so much difficulty and really needing something to change. I think sometimes when we get to that place of like everything in life feels like it's starting to fall apart and you don't have anywhere else to go but up, sometimes things can intervene, and how incredible that you had that experience.
Yeah, one thing I've kind of picked up on that whole experience, and as I continue to, we're human. We're no matter all the healing that we do, we're going to find ourselves going through different things and experiencing life, and times are going to get really hard. But what I've realized is that no matter how bad the place that you are in now, if you're willing to look for it and you're willing to go there is a brighter side at the end of it always. Like I was in like probably the worst part of my life, and I there was a brighter side at the end of that experience because everything is only temporary.
Oh
And
yeah, but when you're
it
in it, it does not feel like that at
it
all. It feels
doesn't
like it's
feel
gonna
like that
last forever.
because of this journey that I've been on. I've learned that. I've learned like, yeah, it's only temporary and there is a brighter side to come out. And if you could just trust that
Mm.
and look for that, you will see it unfold for you.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most powerful lessons that you learn through doing this mindset work. The personal growth and spiritual development is really understanding that there is more options available to you. There's a brighter side, and every experience that you go through that feels dark or challenging is actually not just temporary, but there to support you and okay. And you can honor that season, and like being able to look at it from kind of above, like if I'm going through a really challenging time where I'm feeling depressed or really anxious. In the past, I may have been like so attached to it, like I'm just an anxious person, or I have depression, or things just suck in life. And now I can kind of step aside and be like, oh, I'm experiencing this. This is just a season I'm in. And how can I love myself through it? How can I honor myself through it and know that it's just there? It's just something that I'm experiencing, and it will get better, and it will actually support me later because it will give me lessons.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. I think, I mean, even, losing my grandparents, it's like I could have right away, had the mindset of like, why is this happening to me? Like, and
Mhm.
it's the way you choose to look at the situations that you're in. And I know that's really, a black and white statement to say for somebody who is going through a tough time. It might be really hard to look at something any differently but the way that you're looking at it. But I really felt like, I took care of my grandparents when they were sick, and I lived with one of them, and that was majority of my life. And I felt kind of trapped sometimes. I felt like I didn't get to really experience, my younger years and do a lot of things that I wanted to. And I feel like no matter how hard it was losing them and all that I went through during that period of time, I really look at that as their way of, letting me live the life that I was meant for, because
Mhm.
they both, passed like so coincidentally, like right after each other in the same year. And it was like, as hard as it was, and I miss them dearly, it was them leading me to this life, it was them leading
Wow.
me to the healing. It was leading me to moving out west and, heading down this spiritual self-growth journey where, I mean, I look at myself when I was in my high school years and just out of high school, it was just partying and having fun and not
Mhm.
taking life serious and not giving a crap about my health or, being a good person in this world. And now it's like they led me to a more fulfilled, wholesome life that's not only just for myself, but my clients, my family, my loved ones, everyone that's around me who encounters me. So it's kind of like it radiates onto everyone else around you too.
Yeah. What a profound gift, really, and such an incredible reminder to send love and to honor the hardship, and also be able to look at it as what kind of a gift you were able to receive from the hardship, you
Yeah.
know? God,
Yeah. But
that's
it's
so
there.
beautiful.
It's hard to see it sometimes, but
Yeah.
the way I like to look at my life and my own personal perspective, that there is something to learn and gain from it, no matter how hard it is. So,
And once you get to that point in your journey where you can do that, then it's like, all right, life is going to be hard no matter what. Like, there's no avoiding the hard. you know? And I think that if your goal is to live just a fully easy life, like what's the point of that, right? So it's not about eliminating the hard, it's about embracing the hard and enjoying the hard and allowing there to be ease into. Does that, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's kind of like, going into something that you're new at. Like,
Mhm.
I'm finding these new opportunities within my community. I've never done public speaking and these types of things, and it scares me and it makes me nervous and it's difficult. But I'm starting to go into these uncomfortable situations like, I could do this. I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to have an experience that's going to up level me in some way or another. Maybe even if I mess up, I'm going to gain from it. If I do great, I'm going to gain from it. Regardless, I'm going to have something to take away from this experience, and it's going to help me move forward. Whereas the old version of myself would run from discomfort.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I noticed that for a person to be, successful and empowered, it's the people who are going to find the discomfort and face it and go into it as something that's fun, as something that is going to help transform you, help up level you, help move you towards the results that you want to see. So I think, it's changing that paradigm too, that, there's discomfort in life. How can we approach it differently to serve you better?
Right. It's like taking those problems that you see in life and instead of feeling like it's all happening to you, it's turning those problems and not just into challenges that you overcome, but in opportunities,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And like what can that lead you in your life? So it sounds like it's leading you to some pretty amazing things. I'd love to hear a little bit more about what you're doing now when it comes to like the expansion of your experience and your growth and personal development and spirituality. I know you're doing some cool stuff.
Yeah, so I've been mostly on the online space since I've started these trainings with Michaela, and I finished those. So I've been mostly just holding space on the online community, which has been great, but I've been feeling called to kind of take my work to the actual in-person local community. And
Yep.
so I it was just intuition saying that I needed to meet more like-minded people in my area, see what's out there. And I've been living out in St. George for about a year now, and just recently, the past few months, I googled healing near me. Like, I just did healing or breath work or like just weird things in Google, and it brought me to all these local businesses that do all different kinds of work. I mean, all just like-minded work, like personal development, spirituality, crystal shops that hold yoga classes, breathwork classes, meditations. So a lot of that kind of work. I've also met a place called Seven Elements. They focus on the seven elements of our lives, mental, spiritual, emotional, physical, financial. Then we have Trinity Wellness, which I started working part-time there. They do Zion Mat and Cocoon Experience, which is using Brain Tap. It works with the subconscious mind, which is kind of what I do, and it helps people with both, mental aspects, but also physical. A lot of physical ailments. A lot of their products and services are actually FDA approved. So I get to use their services, which is great. But they also allowed me the opportunity to use their event rooms to kind of host my own workshops there. So my goals are to eventually be taking my work and holding in-person events and bringing my work really to the community, helping people realize, the mindset and their subconscious programming and how it's actually holding them back from what they actually want in their lives. So
I love that. And who would have guessed that in small town Utah that you would find such incredible opportunities?
yeah.
And especially because it started with this like I tell me if these aren't the right words, but like this slight dissatisfaction or like roadblocks that you're experiencing with getting your message out on the online space. I personally, yeah, you agree. Like I personally feel like there's so much saturation and there's, even some just like issues with the coaching space in the online space. And it can feel a little stifling sometimes to want to get your message out to people who are inundated with so many messages and like so many great marketers and stuff. And it can be a little bit overwhelming. and frustrating. So I totally understand this place of like, what if we just go into, what if there's something else, right? So it's like when you hit a roadblock, you could easily have been like, well, this just isn't working, like something is wrong with me, or like, why am I not creating all this impact in this one space? But instead, what you did is you took it, that problem, that roadblock, as an opportunity. And just by one, again, one little Google search of like, what's around in my small town Utah place about spirituality, and look
Yeah.
where it's brought you.
Yeah, and so yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's the power of the subconscious work and understanding the subconscious mind because
Yeah.
realistically a lot of people have that programming. Maybe I'm just not good at this. Maybe there it's too saturated, right? These are all beliefs and stories that we tell ourselves and we get to decide what we're going to do with that. We get to decide like is this going to dictates my future in this work. And so I'm still going to be utilizing the online space. I still have offers. I'm still taking clients on the online space. I think I just really needed like a more human connection, and again it was also sort of kind of like a pivot. I'm not ditching the online space, but I wanted to see what my other options were. And another like the mindset that I try to reprogram with myself is there's unlimited opportunity and
Oh
possibility.
yeah.
And so, whether if it's on the online space or, I'm doing retreats or I'm doing something in the community, there's unlimited amount of opportunities and connections and people for us to work with and for us to meet and connect with. And I think it's the mindset you choose to have around it. And I found this community when I decided to start looking. And that's the thing. I think oftentimes we're programmed to have a belief that, well, this just isn't going to work, and we stop looking. We stop
Yep.
looking for the opportunities. We're not open to receiving. If we're just open to the what ifs, and there's the way I literally look at everything is like we could find something. There's something out there. There's something, no matter what it is in life. If we're talking about me, my husband and I were talking about Halloween costumes and trying to find. He's like, "There's nothing going to be out there." I'm like, "We will find something. There is something out there for everything, all the
Yep.
time, no matter what it is. You can, if you are looking for it, you will receive it." And I truly believe that, and I've seen that unfold in my own life. Even moving out here when things seemed impossible with, people were living in hotels right now because the housing is so bad. Because people are just buying it up, rentals are being taken. We have a friend that's been out here living in a hotel for a while that he
Wow.
met through work. We come out here right away and we find an apartment like that.
Oh
I
yeah.
feel like where we focus on, we will attract and we will attract the results that we want. But what is the mindset that you're focusing on?
Yeah.
Are you in lack or are you in I will receive? And so I'm finding opportunities in the community and I'm sorry my dog's playing with her toy in the background.
Oh, very familiar with the dogs making noise
I
and wanting to
tried
be
running
involved.
her. I tried running her before this call, hoping that she would sleep throughout it all, but don't mind her. But yeah, no, I feel like when you're just constantly in that energy of improvement and focus and opportunity, you will receive and you will find it.
Yeah, and you really nailed it with the mindset of all opportunities are available. I like to think of it as like we live in a fully abundant universe. Everything is available. There are no real limitations other than the ones that we create for ourselves in our own mind.
Yeah.
And now that might come off as very like you're creating this, you're the one who's, at fault for this, but it's really actually an empowering position to be, to realize that you have the power to change your mind.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing to note that is it's not your fault.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are programmed the way that we're programmed because of childhood, generational, society, our parents, things that we really had no control over, and our subconscious was formed from all of this, and it became our whole being. And so, yeah, some of our subconscious patterns and behaviors are quote unquote our fault. We're not, it's not serving us, right? But that is where the awareness is important and why it's important to be open to this kind of work because you realize you become aware of the programming that you're functioning at and why it's not serving where you want to go. So it's not to blame yourself, but it's to be aware that you have that power to change that. You can rewire that so you are, you know, where you want to be.
Yeah, I like to think of it as it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility if you want to live a different life, right? It's everything that happened to you in your childhood, as Roxanne mentioned, or, previous generations or wherever this conditioning came from, really formed the way that you live your life through your subconscious programming. And it's, yeah, it's not your fault. But if you're living a life that's really not giving you what you fully want, if you're not fully enjoying the way that you are living and the results that you're receiving in your life, you get to change it. It's your responsibility. No one's going to do it for you. And I think that's a big thing that I've experienced, is feeling like I just wish somebody would help me do it. I wish somebody would just take care of it for me and I could just lay back and it would be easy for me. But realizing that I'm actually in charge of it, and nope, no more parents, like, we're adults now. The government sure as fuck isn't going to do it for us. Like, no one else can do it for us. We have full control to make changes in our lives ourselves. I think that's empowering as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think, even like my upbringing, how I mentioned like it was really tough and it wasn't all I wasn't dealt the right cards is
Yeah.
something I was told for so long, right? Um it's easy to want to just, blame my parents and blame
Mhm.
put the blame on everybody else. And the biggest like realization through this work, because I did held a lot of resentment towards my parents for things that I went through. Oh my gosh, time talking. But the biggest realization was that I'm at that point in my life now where I could acknowledge the things that were done to me and what we had to go through wasn't fair, wasn't okay, wasn't right.
Mhm.
But I have that power to create a new narrative for myself. I'm no longer dealt the wrong cards. I was no longer, subject to this type of life because of my upbringing. I am the one empowered to actually create a whole new story of my life and what I want that to be, and create like what's the word, and just create a whole new, standard for my life and for my future generations life. So like it's no
Mhm.
longer just, oh well, this is how it is because this is what we went through and this is how our family functions. It's no, I get to take that control and create a whole new storyline for me and my kids, my future kids. So
Yeah, it's like you're choosing again,
yeah.
right?
And
Doesn't matter where you came from. And I know this can be kind of an unpopular opinion, and I just don't agree that, like, where you came from is where you're going to be. I really believe that it does not matter. You could come from nothing. You could have the most toxic upbringing, or you could have like an easy upbringing that created a lot of stress for you and anxiety for you in other ways. Like, we cannot judge where we came from, but we can hold love for it and, like, totally honor where our upbringing brought us and know that now we can choose
yeah.
anything we want if we believe that all options are possible. If you have that mindset, that's going to be what is going to give you the result of having what you want.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the biggest thing is just realizing that we need to take a little bit of responsibility. It's at some point, we, like I said, we're not all perfect and we all have areas in our life that we can improve on. Nobody is perfect in every area of their life. You might be, good in the health and wellness, but how's your relationships? There's areas for everyone to constantly improve in. And I think it's really being open to tap into that and take the responsibility and, kind of realize like what resources do I have that could maybe help me realize like how I need to change and where I need to change. The subconscious work, the reason why it could be difficult is because most people aren't aware of their subconscious programming because we're not conscious of it. We are not conscious of
Exactly.
programming. So, you might have these little moments of realizations like, wow, that was a negative thought. I view the money this way. Or we might have these little, tidbits of realization that maybe this thought's not serving me, or maybe the way I'm reacting and responding in this argument is not serving me. But it's to have the full awareness that like, wow, I actually need to do something about this. And this is why I love the subconscious work, because I'm constantly noticing different programming I have within myself that could use some focus on and use some enhancing and rewiring.
Mhm.
So, and as you continue to just catch yourself and be aware and do the work and do the work, you find yourself having better relationships, better marriages, better relationships with your children, family members, relationships with money, your relationship with yourself, your self-esteem, your confidence, so many areas in your life you find improvements on because you are becoming aware of your subconscious programming, which is the foundation of your whole being.
Absolutely. And I admit that the majority of my life, I was very unconscious.
Yeah.
And where it showed up for me biggest was within my relationships. I had a really big abandonment wound that I believe came from far beyond this lifetime, but continued on in this lifetime. And because of that, I attracted men who are so emotionally unavailable that it was almost like an addiction. It was like, I need to make this unavailable man love me and be available, and that is what is going to validate my own worth. And that was like such an unconscious programming. It was, I didn't realize this until later when I did this work, was like, because in the time I was like, oh, men just are unavailable and no one's ever going to love me and I'm never going to find like a really available, wonderful man. It's just not possible. They don't exist. That was my thinking. And now I can look back and realize that actually I was emotionally unavailable and I was attracting men who were also emotionally unavailable because that's what felt safe to me. Right. And it wasn't until I was working with a coach back in, it was like summer of 2021, so a little over a year ago, where I remember just sobbing in our session. And I said to her, I don't believe that there's a man out there for me. Like I just knew in my deep programming, because I was still very unconscious in this area of my life, even though I had done a lot of work on myself up until this point, that part was still so sticky for me. I just was so stuck in this idea that men are unavailable and they don't, one that's super available doesn't exist. And I realized in that session with my coach that actually I was the one who was pushing that away because of my old programming. It didn't feel safe to have an available man around. And
Yeah.
once I kind of let that go, literally the next, oh God, it was literally the next day when my partner called me to ask me on a date.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing when you start to have these these life altering realizations. I mean, before, it was way long before I was introduced to any of this work, and I was with a high school boyfriend for years, and he was not good, very toxic. Again, I grew up in a toxic household. Having toxic, poor relationships is the norm for me. It was just a really poor toxic relationship. And when, again, it was so normal though. It was like I have people like my sisters telling me like, oh, like, he's nice though, you should stay with him, because we were, it was a norm for it was our subconscious programming that this is how relationships should be. We all go through this, right? We all have these
Mhm.
issues, and we're all with partners who are like this. And I had this inner knowing, thank the Lord. I don't know what it was. Maybe my grandparents, who had a beautiful marriage, that gave me insight that, I actually deserve so much better, and I don't need to settle for this type of dysfunction in my life. I could actually create something different for myself. And I told myself, I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. I left, and I said, I'm going to focus on myself. I didn't really know what that meant. I was just out of high school maybe, and I was still hanging around with friends, doing fun stuff. But I had the mindset of, I'm not rushing into a relationship. I'm going to focus on myself. And it wasn't, the type of healing then that what I'm used to now. But it was like a month later, I found my husband, who I'm with now, and a
Wow.
polar opposite type of man than who I was with, and the men I was interested in before. He total, not even on the same planet type of difference. It was really crazy to see that transformation with who I found myself attracting and being attracted to when I decided to look within and find myself self-worth and create new standards for my life, and I attracted the new standards. So
Yeah, I love that. I think like the concept of having a standard and sticking to it and not allowing yourself to go below it is so impactful and powerful and really difficult for people if they don't believe they deserve that standard.
Yeah. Which is again another beautiful part of the work that you and I do in subconscious work, because
Yeah.
you through these techniques you really learn to find your self-worth and your self-esteem again, which in itself is life altering, because when you think about it, your self-love for yourself is the foundation of what you're going to act on and what you're going to allow into your life, the standards you're going to set for yourself. And
Yeah.
so, when you learn to take that self-worth and that self-love to a higher level and a deeper level, you find yourself showing up differently, attracting better people, attracting better opportunities, and it's just a constant ripple effect, But it's unfortunate watching people in poor situations, poor relationships, not realizing their self-worth or not having self-love for themselves, and it always starts within, right? Everything starts within, and our relationships and everything is a reflection of what's going on inside of us.
Yeah, 100%. And when I think about all the people that we witness, maybe it's like our friends or our family who are really involved in these kind of limiting mindsets or relationships that are toxic, it's so hard to not want to be like, let me just shake it out of you. Like, let me tell you that
Yeah,
there's more. You can have more. It can get
yeah,
better
yeah.
because you can't actually, like, you can illuminate the path for people, but they have to walk it.
Yeah, yeah, and it's hard because this work definitely, at least, from you and I'm sure, like we see that potential in everybody else. There is so much potential that you all do with yourselves. It's just like tap into that, do the work, heal, because once you do, you realize it. You realize your full potential. There is like, oh my gosh, like I would never think that I'd be doing things that I'm doing now 5 years ago. Like, what? So it's just
Yeah.
like you unlock a whole new level of your life that you never knew could have ever existed just by doing the healing work and the inner work and all these things that we hear all the time. But it is really true, and it is really impactful and powerful. Um, I think everyone though is at their own time, and everybody,
Yeah.
has to reach that point on their own. And I think it's great for people like you and I, or even our clients, who then heal, and now we all just radiate that, and we hold up a mirror to everybody else to what's possible and what can be. And
Hmm.
so, I see my clients now, like weight loss journey, making moves, opening businesses, doing all these things, and that's just another mirror to hold up to somebody else of what is powerful and what can be done.
Yeah. And that's why this work is so fun, you know? And that kind of leads me to this concept that I really wanted, I was like so excited to talk to you about is like people who are ready to do the work versus not ready, and kind of like how in our culture there's so much marketing toward women to become empowered and how we've been so oppressed throughout history and how it's our time to shine. And I think there's, of course, there's so much truth in that. And I think it's so wonderful to see so many women becoming empowered within their businesses and their relationships, and so many people getting the support that they need that they maybe didn't get before to like really become these like powerful badass boss bitches, or whatever the lingo is now. But one thing that I've noticed for the last years, especially and talking to you, Roxanne, you've noticed it too, is that it's kind of created a culture of leaving the men behind in a way. And we've shared privately and how much we both really love working with men who are ready for the self-growth and development, because they need the love and nurturing just as much, but it doesn't seem to be quite as culturally acceptable at the moment for them to do the deep healing work. So I just want to dive into this conversation with you because it's really important.
Yes, it really is. And I couldn't figure it out at first. I would say almost all of my clients have been men, and I didn't advertise it to be that way. I didn't market it to be that way. I did not, my content wasn't strictly for men. If anything, my content did speak a lot about, like, bad bitches and all the lingo that goes around implying
Mhm.
to women. but I have still attracted so many men clients in my life. And I remember having a thought when I first stepped into this work. I remember hearing hearing someone say, I just prefer to only work with women, so I keep it like that. And I noticed that trend going, most of the coaches on the online space only worked with women, at least from what I was seeing. So and I'm here to support everybody, and I love to see growth, and I love to see everybody, man or woman, making it happen in their life. Um,
Mhm.
but like you said, it seems like men are kind of being left out and forgotten about. And in a society where they do have very high suicide rate, and they're also the standard really is that they're not vulnerable, and that they show up regardless, and they have just this specific only masculine drive to them 24/7 all the time. They don't get that kind of attention where they have a safe space to let go, to release, to heal, and to up level their life in the way that they want to.
Mhm.
um, yeah, I love seeing women rise. It's
Oh
powerful.
yeah.
It's powerful, it's amazing, it's beautiful. And men, it's expected for them to rise.
Hmm.
So and in that, as we know, as entrepreneurs, um it's a hard journey. Life in itself is
Yeah.
hard, and we as women, I've never felt like I couldn't express that. I never felt like I couldn't you know show my stress or my emotion or my burnout, and be vulnerable about that experience, whereas men, it's expected that they carry that energy all the time, and they don't show that vulnerable side of them when it gets hard.
Yeah.
um,
There's a lot of pressure
yeah.
on men to be the providers, right? To be successful, to take care of their families. And just like you said, it's expected and it's not really accepted for them to get the emotional help along the way. So it's very isolating for men to be working on their businesses or in their professions and expected to be so like to be like so hardcore and like needing to be so successful, and at the same time they're not allowed to get support doing it in a way that allows them to feel like nurtured and just supported along the way. Because yeah, the entrepreneur journey is difficult, it's difficult emotionally, and we get to have all the support that we need because it's accepted to, but
Yeah,
for men it's not.
I am going to respond to that. I'm so sorry, but I'm going to just check who's at my door
Okay,
really quick.
we'll pause real quick and then just get restarted when you're back.
Yes, I'm so sorry. One
No
second.
worries. Okay, we are back. So we were just talking about the importance of men feeling like they have the support while they're being expected to have so much success and just go with it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. We're all human, and we all kind of need that support. And I think we should change the paradigm that, men should have this work just as much as anybody else.
Mhm.
And I know, like, at least I see it a lot on Facebook, like this toxic energy between men and women. And I want to kind of bridge that gap, or at least make my platform a space where both men and women feel accepted, could be vulnerable, can connect, and not have this tension that, oh, men have to be this way and women have to be this way, or men feel misunderstood and women feel misunderstood, and just this toxic energy. So I mean, at least my approach with the work that I do and my platform is like, I would like to kind of try to eliminate that, because we're all here, we're all going through things, we're all on our own journey, and we all need that support. And I mean, it could be hard for all of us, and there's no one that's superior to that. So
Yeah.
I think it's important for us to just allow us all to kind of feel and be and grow together.
Yeah, and it's really not an either or, right? Like if we believe in an abundant universe, if we believe that all options are available, as we've talked about, you don't have to choose between a woman being empowered and shining her light and having space to grow and thrive and succeed, and men being able to do the same thing, right? I think there's the culture has moved toward men are toxic and need to move aside and create space so that women are allowed to. And I think even even that concept right there kind of implies that women are lesser than men in a way of like it's men's or responsibility to move aside to allow women to thrive. I don't like agree with that premise at all. I think that there is room for everyone to thrive and succeed.
Yeah.
And I think that women or men are different, and really it comes down to like the energies of masculine and feminine. And a lot of women hold masculine energy more than feminine energy, and a lot of men hold feminine energy more than masculine. So it's not really like either or again, it's all right, and
Yeah.
there's space for all. So
Yeah.
I love that you have a space where you're wanting to like break free from this paradigm of like it has to be one or the other.
Yeah, and I think we kind of talked about it before. Like, I think I am a lot in my masculine energy, where I think that's why I also attracted a lot of male clients. They feel more
Yeah.
relatable because of my more masculine energy. But I also do have a very feminine, nurturing side of me as well, which also, I feel like is so important why men need the female coaches because
Yes.
we bring that feminine energy to them to nurture them, to let them know like it is okay. You're allowed to be vulnerable. You're allowed to go through these stresses, and you're allowed to release all that you've been carrying over the years,
Yeah.
because they've gone through the experiences and the trauma and the hurt and the pain just as much as all of us, and they have that programming as well that needs to be rewired and changed and healed. And so with that feminine energy that a lot of us women coaches carry, we get to provide that for them because we talked about it before. With women, we're constantly talking about our feminine and our masculine. It's a part of both of us, right? Some people might be more in their masculine, some people might be more in their feminine, and sometimes it's really hard to have that healthy balance within ourselves. I mean, but when you really think about a man's standpoint, you do find your men who can tap into their feminine a lot more easier and have a more balanced feminine and masculine energy within themselves. But at least from a lot of men in my circle and that I've witnessed, it's been mostly masculine. It's been mostly masculine energy where they don't know how to tap into their feminine. They don't have that feminine energy around them where they could be held.
Yeah.
And so it's a beautiful thing for myself to be able to offer that for men and show them that they have a container where they get to really be vulnerable and in a way tap into their own feminine. So
Yeah, yeah, I think it's very societally conditioned for a lot of men. You must be very masculine, you must be the provider and all those things. And I think that there's beauty in that, in like the divine masculine being empowered in the masculine energy is so beautiful. Like there's no toxicity there. The problem is when they feel like they have to be one way only, and it's not okay for them to be vulnerable and for them to feel and express their emotions. And I've witnessed this with men where it's like because they're told that it's not okay, they become more explosive because that pressure needs to be
yeah,
let out. And
yeah,
so having a safe space in a one-on-one container, especially because we both had male clients, where they can actually just share their feelings and not be judged and not be told that that's not allowed, and they can cry and they can laugh and like whatever emotions need to come out without any judgment. One of my male clients mentioned in a testimonial after working with me, he's like, I never felt so safe to just share my thoughts and feelings, and I wasn't judged at all for it. And I
yeah.
think men are held to this high performance standard, and it's just not realistic to achieve such success without tending to your emotions. And if you do, there's just no way I can see you being happy.
Yeah, yeah, we all need to release, and I think the more we try to run from that, the more we find ourselves not feeling at our best,
Yeah.
or we find resistance and unbalance within our happiness and our health and just so many different parts of our lives. I mean, we're kind of conditioned that life is this way. Life has to be hard, and life,
Mhm.
it's just the way life has to be. And I think through the healing work specifically is when I realized it doesn't have to be this way. We get to actually have joy in our lives. Like growing up in a family where there was a lot of dysfunction and a lot of depression and stress and problems, it was kind of taught that this is just how life is,
Yeah.
and it's expected that way. And the healing work has really taught me that like you actually could find the joy in this life and play in this life and be vulnerable and feel and be
Mhm.
in any way you want to be. So, and I think that's the beauty of this work, especially for men who are conditioned that they have to mask their emotions and be a certain way and show up a certain way constantly 24/7. This gives them the opportunity to heal and see that life gets to be more joyous than that.
Yeah, that they can actually create the success in the world that they want, right? They can still align with the divine masculine aspect of themselves, of being a provider and being a leader, and conquering whatever goals they have, and like and just really embracing that masculine within them. And then when they feel safe to actually work through the emotions that are holding them back, making them feel like they're not enough, keeping them anxiety, imagine what their relationships are like.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Mhm.
not only are they creating massive success in their careers and their businesses, but it's not at the expense of their relationship with themselves or their relationship with their partner and their family and friends.
So I mean, I think about the way my own relationship has changed by as a woman doing the inner work. I show up better for my husband now than ever in
Mm,
the past. And showing up for him in the ways I can, taking that radical responsibility to be the wife that I want to be and that he deserves.
yeah.
So, I mean, when you think about, we always hear the drama between men and women and men doing this and men doing that. And think about a healed man.
Hmm.
I mean, how is a healed man going to show up? A man that is is clear on what he wants in a relationship and how he wants to show up.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I see a lot of these problems in relationships be different if men and women just took the time to look within and take radical change and heal. Because when you, again, it's all starts with you. Like it starts within yourself. When you start to heal yourself, it's a ripple effect within your relationship with others.
Yeah. It just makes me think about all the toxic relationships that I've been in my life, where I really just had all the expectation on them to make me happy. And how now in my relationship, we've been together for a little over a year, right after I had my breakthrough of how I was the one who was unavailable and who I was the one who didn't have belief in it. And he and I are both so deep in our personal growth and development, and we do it together, which I'm really grateful for. And like, I find it frustrating at the time, but kind of funny thinking about it. Like, whenever he and I get into a fight, it's only because one of us gets old childhood trauma triggered. And then the other person might get triggered by their trigger. And then later we're like, oh, okay. So you were triggered because you felt unheard and unsafe when I said that. And that made you feel like you're not enough. And that
Mhm.
made you feel this. And to be in a relationship where we can actually discuss not just our feelings, but where our feelings came from. I just feel really grateful that
Yeah.
it's like it's a level of health that I've certainly never experienced.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful. And that's the importance of that conscious awareness and that conscious drive to want to grow. I mean, as an individual and together. I mean,
Yeah.
and that is what I look at in again every area of my life, my physical and my mental and my relationships and my financial. It's the awareness and then that radical responsibility of what do I need to do. And that's the thing with relationships specifically. It seems to be a constant game of you do this and you do that and you do this, but how are you at cause? How are you going to take radical responsibility? And when you start to be in that energy where you are looking within and you're taking that radical responsibility in the times that you need to, through that journey you find your worth, and then you weed out the people who are going to be there for you and the people who are not, and the people who are supposed to be there for you and the people who are not. And
Yeah.
that's when you find yourself leaving the toxic relationships and finding attracting the people who are more in alignment with who you are becoming. And I think that's what it comes down to, is getting clear on what you even want, who you want to be, who you want to be with, instead of just like, oh, this is what I'm stuck in. Well,
Hmm.
what do you want instead?
Yeah. Yeah.
And hone in on that, and that focus in on that, because that very well can happen to you if you decide that you want to make that happen for you.
Yeah. It really starts with the awareness of the fact that it's not even you. All these feelings that you're having, all the stress and the dark days and the challenges, just the awareness that it's just programming, it's just conditioning.
Yeah.
That's really what it starts with. And then from there, it's just a decision of like, do I want to continue living the life from my conditioning that doesn't make me happy? Or am I willing to take charge of my life and choose to do something different? That's when your life can change.
Yeah. Yes.
Damn girl, you were like such an embodiment of your work. It's like incredible to like
Thank
I knew
you.
most of this story, but you shared more that I didn't even know today, which was really awesome of like how
Thank you.
much you have grown and how much power you've taken back in your own life. And
Yeah.
just through that in its own is not, I mean, like that's amazing just for you and like the people who are around you, but what you can offer to people to help them with their lives, it's big.
It's all about intentionality, and that's another thing. I just, I am taking my growth seriously because it means a lot to me. And you have to decide what means a lot to you and get intentional about it. I, listen to a before bed meditation while I'm laying down. Me and my husband, every night in bed, we'd say 5 things that we're grateful for. We practice gratitude.
Mm.
Going on a walk with my dog, I'm listening to a podcast. It's intentional about your time. You don't have to, you know, do all these crazy changes and, start collecting crystals and like it all, change your whole life around. But it could start so simple as feeding your brain, empowering knowledge and information,
Yeah.
and taking baby steps. And honestly, as you start to do so, you begin to fall in love with it, and it calls to you, and you just dive deeper and deeper and deeper, and you see results. And as you continue to do the work and see results and do the work and see the results, you look back and you are just like, wow, I've created so much for myself. But you have to decide that you want it enough to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what are some of the things that you're up to now?
So, I did mention I was doing a lot of work within the community. So, I'm working on hosting a couple live events, hopefully within the next month or so. I'm still in the works with that. So, you can find me on Instagram at Roxanne Jacqueline, and you'll see any updates in regards to that. I am working on dropping some new offers for the end of the year to end this year out strong.
Oh yeah.
2 months left, 2 full months. So I really want to give people the opportunity to get a head start on the new year. Everyone's like January 1st. That's a slow start into the new year. Like,
Mhm.
let's get the basics, the healing, some of the basic stuff out of the way, right? And so we could get ready to create some achievable outcomes for the new year, get clear on the plan. So I'm offering some offers for both prior to the new year and post new year. And then I'm also I'm partnered with Sabrina, who is another one of our amazing coaches in our group, to do a online course that we're working on, which will hopefully be launched the new year as well. So
Oh my
lots
God, so
of
exciting.
I'm doing a breathwork course, and possibly we'll be doing some breathwork in the near future as well. So just a lot of different things going on, and I'm just kind of letting it take me where it's going to take me. So, and show up how I can with all my new modalities I'm
I
learning.
love that. I can't wait for the breath work. That's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. And I've done a little bit, but to be facilitated by you, it would be such a treat. Because really you've picked up on so many different modalities, your whole experience, it's like it's a lifestyle of personal growth and development. So when you make it a lifestyle, then it's every aspect of your life, right? I mean, that's what that means,
You
right?
have to embody that every day. It's embody that every day, and um, to be successful, you have to want that for yourself. And to
Mhm.
me, like there's so much, and I know we're cutting short on time, but a philosophy that I have that I want to share, because I feel like it's So important. We're in this culture where it's just like love yourself and love yourself, just that as that, right? And I absolutely do feel we should have love for ourselves. Love is everything in this world, and we should. But I feel like we should love ourselves enough where we will do the work, where we will heal, where we will
Mm,
take care of our health, where we will prioritize our happiness and our joy, not just settle in the situations that we're in and still love ourselves, because at the end of the day, you could try to convince yourself, but that's not going to work because there's things that we need to heal, and there's things that need to be worked on, and we're programmed to want to be better and to grow, and we need to tap into that. And you should love yourself enough to allow yourself to go there, because when you start to go there, that's when you see the massive radical transformation within your life, and you get to radiate that onto everybody else.
and I love that so much. I love that so much. It's like we have to love ourselves no matter what. And we love ourselves enough to actually take care of ourselves and allow ourselves to grow and to heal.
Yeah.
That's profound as fuck. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that. And it's something that I think about a lot of, like, loving yourself doesn't mean staying where you are and just making the best of it. Loving yourself means allowing yourself to grow out of a tough situation and make a better life for yourself.
Yeah, because the only one that's going to take care of you is you.
That's
You
right.
have to love yourself enough to do it. So
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
that's the work.
so good, Roxanne. Okay, so people can find you on Instagram, and is there anywhere else that they should come hang out with you, or is that the
Um,
spot?
as of right now, I would just say Instagram. I'm working on a Facebook page, but we're going to do just Instagram at Roxanne Jacqueline for now. So
Okay, I will
I do
leave.
have a TikTok at Roxanne Jacqueline too. I
Oh,
haven't
that's
put too
right.
much on it, but you can find me there as well.
Okay, I will leave the links to both of those in the
Yeah.
notes below so that you can follow along with Roxanne's journey and her story and take her up on her offers, because they are obviously amazing. Like, after listening to this, how could you not want to just learn everything that you can from this powerful woman? So I am
Thank
so
you.
beyond grateful that you came on, my first guest on this podcast. So fun. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. And
Amazing conversation. Thank
yeah,
you, Alina.
of
Thank you.
course. Do you have any final things you want to share, or do you think we covered it?
I think we covered it. That was a very impactful conversation we had there. Thank you so much. I can't wait to hear the replay, and you're doing great. So proud of
Oh,
you.
thank you so much. All right, girl. Talk to you soon, and I will see you all in the next one.
Yeah.